Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your...
Hello, welcome in. It is a Wednesday Bruce Hooley Show. We are just about ready to get started. I promise we're live. I know it'll sound like we're taped with a lot of the things I'm going to talk about, but believe me, these are fresh headlines. Familiar themes, but fresh headlines. So we're in commercial, just about ready for the band to play the intro music, and then we'll get started. So thanks for joining us. Here we go. I am sure all of you have at one time or another experienced a feeling of deja vu. Something happens and you're like, wait, that's happened before. You may experience that today during this airing, the Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Or you may attribute that phenomenon to the disclaimer that we place on some programming here at 9890 Answer, which is portions of the following program have been pre-recorded. I promise you, none of what follows between now and 1 o'clock has been pre-recorded, other than the sound bites that I play. But everything I say is going to be live, even though you might say, wait a second, weren't you talking about that the other day? Yes, you've talked about this case before. No. The cases that I talk about today regarding illegal aliens committing heinous crimes may, in fact, sound remarkably similar to cases that I have talked about before, but I promise you they are fresh. Yes, the freshness guarantee issued at the top of a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. And one of the things I've talked about before, you might think, well, here he is playing a tape from the other day where he was talking about federal judge Algernon Marbley being a woke train wreck. Nope, I promise this is new evidence, as if we've pulled it out of the ground like a fresh carrot dangling in front of us. Further demonstration of U.S. District Court Judge Algernon Marbley's stupidity and wokeness. He has, guess what, granted a temporary restraining order blocking the Trump administration from deporting one of the students at Ohio State whose F1 visa has been revoked. Her name is Prasanna Uragante. She is an international graduate student from India who is pursuing a PhD in agricultural engineering. Now, I will admit, when I look at the purported, that's a key word here because my guess is ICE and other federal authorities might have a different view of why they have revoked her visa than we are being told by Judge Marbley, who, remember, submitted his retirement paperwork. He was going to sail off into the sunset of senility. But then a funny thing happened on his way to the retirement home. Donald Trump was returned to the White House, and Judge Marbley, because he is an activist judge who pays no attention to the actual law, decided, well, I can't retire. I have to continue to practice my own special brand of judicial activism from the bench. And so he rescinded his retirement papers, and he has continued to be a thorn in the side of the Trump administration ever since that return. So what did he decide yesterday? Well, he decided that this Indian graduate student who is pursuing her PhD and who knows what else, whether not nefarious or nefarious, she can now not be detained or placed in deportation proceedings. She filed a lawsuit. See, isn't it wonderful? If you're a citizen of India, you can come to the United States and you can sue the federal government. How far do you think you'd get if you were in Bombay and you tried to do that? You think they'd listen to you? I doubt it. So Judge Marbley says that this measure is meant to, quote, prevent immediate and irreparable harm to the complaining party during the period necessary to conduct a hearing on a preliminary injunction. Why were they revoking her student visa? Well, because student visas contain a provision, and that is if you are arrested for a crime that indicates to federal authorities that you are someone who is less than desirable to be in our country. What was her crime? Now, I'll admit, her crime sounds rather benign compared to some of the crimes I'm going to talk about with some of these students, like Palestinian Hamas supporters and others who murder Maryland moms. Nope, not Rachel Morin. I know you're thinking, wait a second, I'm having a flashback. Wait a second, Bruce, you've already talked about the Rachel Morin case ad infinitum. No, we have another Maryland mom this time not of 5, of 2, murdered by her illegal alien boyfriend and aided and abetted by his illegal alien uncle. I told you this was going to be the flashback edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. But back to the Indian graduate student at Ohio State. She argued in court through her attorneys that if they terminated her student visa, she would lose her ability to work at OSU and would lose her monthly stipend, and that could perhaps be deported. Yeah, that's why Donald Trump was elected. That is exactly why Donald Trump was elected, to get rid of all the people that Joe Biden allowed into this country who are consuming a lot of our wealth, who are visiting, not all of them, but some of them, horrible crimes upon the American electorate, and generally making this a much less safer, financially sound country. Her visa was terminated because she was identified in a criminal records check, thus violating her F1 visa status. What was her crime? I'm a little skeptical. This is where the details in the Dispatch story by Shahid Magan get a little bit hard for me to say, yeah, that's absolutely what happened. Because all we have about her criminal history is what she says tipped off ICE to her presence in the United States. Call me skeptical that she is the most objective witness in this matter. She says that ICE was tipped off to her and yanked her visa because in June of 2020, she pled guilty to a charge of defective equipment while driving in Missouri. So apparently, I don't know what, her muffler was dragging the ground, her headlight was out, her gas cap was open, I don't know. But that is all that is reported in the Dispatch. Now, I might be wrong on this. I will allow that I do not know the details of her case. But I find it hard to believe that with all the low-hanging fruit among students, just today I saw a video of students at, where's the school? I don't remember which school. It was in the Ivy League. A bunch of students masked, which you're not allowed to be masked anymore to protect your identity, wearing keffiyehs, the Palestinian scarf, lined up, chanting, blocking a Jewish student's way to class. There's so much of that going on that I doubt they're pulling this poor Indian graduate student's visa just because she had a minor equipment violation on her car. But she might be right. And if she is right, then I think probably it's an overreaction to deport her. But here's the thing. When you have millions and millions upon millions upon millions of illegals in the country, and you are trying to get them out as fast as possible, it is inevitable that there will be some mistakes made. It's inevitable. You're not going to do it perfect. And this is the Democrats' strategy on this. This is Algernon Marbley's strategy on this. This is Judge Boasberg's strategy on this. This is the liberal justices on the Supreme Court strategy on this. It is Chris Von Holland's strategy, Jamie Raskin's strategy. Every Democrat's strategy on this is to find the one exception to nullify the mass deportation of illegals, which is why Donald Trump won the election. Oh, I know. He scored on the economy, and he scored on transgenderism, and he scored on a lot of different things. Kamala Harris was a equal opportunity, terrible candidate. But Donald Trump overwhelmingly won the election because of his stance to, and the fact that he had already demonstrated the ability to keep illegals out of our country. That is what people wanted, because there were just too many stories about little girls, women, moms being savaged, raped, and murdered by illegal aliens. And there continue to be such stories. For instance, again, we're live, we're not on tape. An illegal immigrant in Maryland was charged yesterday with murdering his girlfriend after her body was found in a forest outside of Washington, D.C. You say, wait a minute, isn't that the Rachel Morin story? No. Rachel Morin was in her 30s. This woman's in her 20s. Alexi Barrera Rosa was charged with murdering his girlfriend. Rosa's uncle, Rulven Eduardo Barrera, was charged as an accessory. Oh, wait, I'm not done. California. yesterday. The families of 2 teens killed by an illegal alien who crashed into them while drunk, high, and speeding. Oh, he's a triple threat. At 100 miles an hour in Orange County in 2021 have been told by the state of California that the killer will be released from prison in July, just 3.5 years into a 10-year sentence for killing the teens who both burned alive. He got 10 years. An illegal got 10 years for murdering 2 teenagers while drunk. He had previously been arrested for multiple felonies. Now he's going to be arrested after 3.5 years in prison. Why? Well, he's getting out for good behavior. This is so egregious and so it's maddening. I could consume the show every day with these stories. As a newscaster I was watching this morning on television said, we're having a hard time keeping these stories straight. Yes, you are, and I'll have more as the show goes on. But it's happening in Maryland a lot, even though Chris Von Hollen, the senator, is visiting poor Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, trying to get him back home so he can do more MS-13 activity. It's happening in California. It's happening in Minnesota. It's happening right here in Columbus.
And then clouds and breezy showers for Saturday morning.
QC
Sunday afternoon, high on 70 at 65. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer. I'm a barber.
A waitress. A mom. We're all part of your community. Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives. It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life. It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty, something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not. It's not about paranoia.
Or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
Because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
trust our instincts.
just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Financing a home, especially in today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I do. It's Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company I've used for almost a decade now when financing or refinancing Fellowship Home Loans. I'm friends with the owners, Mike and Brian. I even have them on my show occasionally. I know the care their team puts into every single customer. I can personally tell you that it's a smooth, stress-free process, and that's due to Fellowship's level of service and expertise that puts you in the right loan for your family and your goals. There's a reason Fellowship Home Loans is flooded with 5-star reviews. Whether purchasing a home or a cash-out refi to consolidate some higher interest debt, you can trust Fellowship Home Loans. Start the process. Make the call. 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382. Planning for retirement is no small task. If you don't know where to start, join Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group every Saturday at 10 and 2 for Retire Ready Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday at 10 and 2 to Retire Ready Ohio with Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group. The firm offers insurance services, investment advisory services, or Peters Wealth Group, a state-registered investment advisor.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
If you're someone who, now that the weather is getting warmer, remembers, I stopped remembering it, and you're not liking it, but you sure would like to be out of pain. Well, QC Kinetics can help you. Clinics all over Central Ohio. They've added more since they entered our market, and the reason why they've added more is because they could not handle the influx of customers who are excited to hear about advanced biologic therapies, which really is a fancy way of saying that it allows your body to do what it's designed to do, which is heal itself. No surgery. You don't have to be tethered to pain medication and maybe some debilitating side effects that come with it. Pursue healing at QC Kinetics by calling about your, yes, free, no obligation consultation with them to find out if the process works for you and to have them explain it. Their number is 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. All right, big news from the White House has inspired the stock markets all to climb pretty significantly. Donald Trump this morning says that the 145% tariff on China is too high and that he believes that we will get to a fair trade deal with China, that the tariffs will be coming down, and he favors a tiered approach, strategic to America's interests. So all the hullabaloo, all the hand-wringing, pearl-clutching over all of this. For those of you who are not emotionally geared to owning stocks and riding out the highs and the lows, this will be good news. I knew Donald Trump was not going to intentionally crash the economy. Democrats would love that. Why would Trump do that? You think Trump goes, it's great being back in the White House, but you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to turn my final 2 years into utter misery. And I know what we'll do. Let's crash the economy so that Hakeem Jeffries can take over as Speaker of the House and they can impeach me a third time. That would be fun. No, I don't think he's going to do that. So I'm not surprised to see this, but the stocks are up. Dow Jones added 1,000 points, 2.5% gain. NASDAQ up 4.2%. So this is something I know a lot of you are interested in. We'll pursue it more, of course, as we do every Friday with Josh Pick of Aptus Wealth Management when he joins us for the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show. We started the show today talking about the latest head-scratching, nonsensical, woke ruling from U.S. District Court Judge Algernon Marbley, who's only still practicing his special brand of judicial activism from the bench because Donald Trump was returned to the White House, and Marbley's like, wait a second. Forget those retirement papers I filed. Yes, I know I'm over age 70, but yes, I'm going to continue to do what I was doing before, which is blocking Republicans from doing legal things. So I looked this up. What are F1 visa college students entitled to in terms of due process? They have rights, and I want their rights to be observed. Here are their rights as an F1 student visa holder, like this girl from India who the Trump administration revoked her visa with the intent to quite likely deport her. She says, I pleaded guilty to a traffic violation in Missouri. Now, we'll see if that's all that's on her record. But let's say that's all that's on her record. Here is what F1 student visa recipients have a right to. They can receive a notice of government actions affecting their status. Okay, she's got that. Have a hearing or opportunity to respond before losing legal status or being deported. Don't know if she's gotten that. Wait, this next one's important. Be presumed innocent until proven guilty in court if accused of a crime. Now, she pleaded guilty to a crime, a misdemeanor, nevertheless a crime in Missouri. So that would seem to qualify her to be arrested, have her visa yanked, and deported. Access to legal counsel. She's got that, obviously, because she got the injunction, temporary restraining order, from Algernon Marbley. Basic constitutional rights, including free speech, those have not been violated at all. She's suing the government. I think she's got ample free speech rights. So it appears to me that she's gotten what she's entitled to getting. She is not entitled to all the same protections that you and I are entitled to. And yet this is the strategy, and it will continue to be the strategy. Here's Donald Trump yesterday at the White House talking about the deportation of illegal aliens, which I think he was elected to actually accomplish.
We're getting them out, and a judge can't say, no, you have to have a trial. The trial's going to take 2 years, and we're going to have a very dangerous country if we're not allowed to do what we're entitled to do. And I won an election based on the fact that we get them out, and we've done an amazing job.
All right, so I know there's a lot of histrionics in the media about this and about, Trump losing popularity, and people are losing their stomach for deporting illegals. Let's see. What does the data say? Here is Harry Enton, Mr. Data of CNN, asked about the national focus on immigration and whether it is still popular or declining in popularity with Americans.
Talk to me about immigration, how Americans feel about it right
Yeah,
now.
why is Trump focusing on immigration? Let me just tell you, this is where Trump wants to focus. Pretty pleased with a cherry on top. Why is that? Look at Trump's net approval rating on immigration. Compare where we are now, compare where we were at this point in his first term. In his first term, he was underwater at minus 12 points. Look at where he is today. He's actually above water. This is one of his strongest issues at plus 1 point. And more than that on the net approval for him on this issue has stayed steady in the positive. This is an area where Donald Trump wants to focus, because the bottom line is this is an area in which the American people, at least the bare majority of them, seem to like what he's doing.
Yes, the bare majority of them. Nevertheless, anything over 52, 53% is pretty good. And the sentiment in the United States of America in 2016, when Trump was in office and he was talking a lot about immigration, only 38% of Americans agreed that all illegals should be deported. What's that percentage now? 56%. 56% of all Americans believe we should deport every single illegal. Democrats, of course, don't believe that. That's why another congressional delegation, again, we're not on tape, this is live. You know about Chris Von Hollen going down to El Salvador to visit with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Yesterday, Ayanna Pressley, Senator Ed Markey, and a couple other legislators flew to Louisiana to visit our old friend Mahmoud Khalil, the guy who was stoking anti-Israel tensions and storming into Hamilton Hall at Columbia University. Here's Ed Markey on just how horrible, awful, terrible it is that a terrorist sympathizer is locked up in the United States of America.
Khalil deserves due process from a system that respects his constitutional rights, not one that isolates him. He must demand justice.
They are definitely going to stick with this strategy, which amuses me and amuses former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.
I have never seen the Democratic Party this deranged. I mean, if you watch them, it's like they're looking around trying to find the weirdest, strangest things they can be for. And they're out there, give me a chance to be for males playing in girls' sports. Give me a chance to be for the most radical possible position on illegal immigration. Give me a chance to go out there and stand firmly for a whole series of ideas that nobody else in America wants. I mean, this is really remarkable, and it's almost like the party has lost its head.
If it ever had one, that is.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Biden immigration policy didn't only import dangerous criminals from Central and South America. There's word today of the arrest in the U.S. of one of India's most wanted fugitives, allegedly a terrorist kingpin. Elon Musk says it's time to take care of business, so he's scaling back his work with Doge in favor of spending more of his time overseeing Tesla. President Trump strikes a more conciliatory tone toward Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The president says he will not try to fire Powell, although he would like to see the Fed cut interest rates. 3 days of public mourning are underway for the late Pope Francis. His body lies in state in St. Peter's Basilica ahead of Saturday's funeral and burial. On Wall Street, a rally rolls on. The Dow is up 976 points. Nasdaq ahead 661. This is SRN News.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? With mixed messages, fad diets, the quick fix injections, even magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 3 years ago. I lost 53 pounds. I feel terrific, and I've kept the weight off. Make the phone call that can change your life the way it has changed mine. They won't let you fail. Call 855-696-2020. That's 855-696-2020 to schedule your consultation. The first 11 callers who mentioned the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call now, 855-696-2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks. Or visit them at myphdweightloss.com. MyPhD.
Athletes and actors, comedians and politicians. Chris DeGaule's interviews regularly grabs national headlines. And
no, they don't. That's garbage.
6 to 9 on your station for news, opinion, and passion. 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Has the recent storms impacted your house? The Metal Roof Company specializes in working with your insurance company, but also specializes in all trades on the outside of your home. Roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, windows, and in some cases we can...
Being opted out in the country as opt-outs, opt-outs for all sorts of things. The county has opt-outs for all sorts of things. The other Maryland counties have opt-outs for all sorts of things. And yet for this one thing, the country has opt-outs for all sorts of things.
Are you thinking about selling your house and need help getting it ready? Hi, this is Ross DiGiorgio of Ross Realtors. I will buy your house for cash. What? That's right, I'll buy your house for cash, as is and where is. That means no inspections, no financing, take what you want and leave the rest. Call Ross Realtors 614-599-6100. So don't worry about all those people calling you asking if you want to sell your house or all those postcards you receive in the mail. Call Ross Realtors 614-599-6100. That's 614-599-6100. Cash for your home. Before you miss with someone else, call Ross Realtors.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
Don't know if you've ever been through this situation. You're traveling, you're weary, you're ready to go to bed, bad weather, car haltingly performing. You're trying to find a hotel and all you see is a no vacancy sign. Well, that same desperate feeling will set in Friday night if you just show up at the Der Dutchman restaurant in Plain City and try to get in to the Larry Elder event because there's no vacancy. Although I am doing the best that I can, twisting arms, trying to make a couple more tickets available as a giveaway here on the show. We'll have an update on whether I can accomplish that or not. But I want to thank all of you who purchased tickets, sold the event out. We'll have around 300 people in the room, along with Larry Elder and myself, and it'll be a great event. Now, if you say, well, I missed that, is there anything else that I can console myself with? Yes. The Gas and Groceries Giveaway Sweepstakes has a few more days left for you to enter. The $2,500 grand prize will help you buy gas and groceries. Enter that at 9890theanswer.com. All right, let's take a little time to update you on the story we led with yesterday. The case argued before the Supreme Court yesterday involving Mahmoud versus Taylor. Now, Mahmoud is not the same Mahmoud who was the Colombian protester who's in the Louisiana prison. And keep your Mahmoud straight. This Mahmoud is a Muslim family in deep blue Montgomery County, Maryland. And the wokesters on the Montgomery County School Board and in the Montgomery County, Maryland School District have managed to do what, has never been accomplished in the history of mankind. I'm not a detailed student of history, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have died in a lot of wars between over the years, in disagreements, violent disagreements between Muslims, Jews, and Christians. I think that encompasses quite a few dead bodies. But in this case, as I said, the Montgomery County, Maryland School Board has managed to unite Jews, Christians, and Muslims against a policy that disallowed the opting out by parents of their children from books that portray deviant sexual behavior. Now, you're supposed to have, as a parent, the chance to opt your children out of these cases. Trust me, this is a topic I know well about because I serve on a local school board. And if you have a controversial topic, if you're a good school board, you notify parents that it's coming. If you're a bad school board, like Westerville or Worthington, you just try to sneak it in. But once the parents find out about it, or Olentangy, once the parents find out about it, they can opt their kids out of the curriculum. But in Montgomery County, Maryland, they found that so many people were opting out that, well, they just decided, we'll rescind the opt-out and we'll force your kids to look at these books, study these books, and be indoctrinated into these concepts for how often? You say, well, one book a year? No. A book a day for an entire month. That ought to take care of those young little minds who think that men and women are the only two people or the only two sexes that exist or should get married. Now, so they argued this case yesterday before the Supreme Court. And the way this works is you go in, each side presents its case, and the justices sit up there and they get to question you. And it did not go well for the Montgomery County School District. You know it's going bad when Elena Kagan, a liberal justice, to say the least, sends the vibe that, the people from the Montgomery County, Maryland School Board are on the wrong side of this particular issue.
These are, young kids, picture books, and on matters concerning sexuality. I suspect there are a lot of non-religious parents who weren't all that thrilled about this. And then you add in religion, and that's even more serious.
Even more serious, she says. Okay, well, maybe they could say something to alleviate her concern. Not so much with Brett Kavanaugh, appointed by Donald Trump, a disappointment on some things, including the deportation of Venezuelans. But on this issue, it appears Brett Kavanaugh has his head screwed on right.
Maryland was founded on religious liberty and religious tolerance. And I guess I'm surprised, given that this is the hill we're going to die on in terms of not respecting religious liberty, given that history.
Kavanaugh went on to talk about the opt-out provision and what is so hard about the opt-outs, that schools across the country offer opt-outs. And then he brought it down to the local level right there in Maryland.
The county has opt-outs for all sorts of things. The other Maryland counties have opt-outs for all sorts of things. And yet for this one thing, they changed in mid-year and say no more opt-outs. I'm just not understanding feasibility.
So again, I think what's in the record is that with respect to these books as they were deployed in the classroom.
Now, this gentleman's name is Alan Schoenfeld. He is the attorney for the Montgomery County, Maryland Public Schools. Let's let him try to make his case.
There was high absenteeism in some schools. For example, dozens of students being opted out in, I think Mr. Baxter said the average size of an elementary school in Montgomery County is 700 students. So each grade is 125. If you have dozens of students walking out, making arrangements for those students to have adequate space and supervision and alternative instruction, I think is infeasible.
But they do it for all sorts of other opt-outs.
They don't do it for all sorts of other opt-outs. There's a limited universe of things that students can opt out from.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to say that you probably shouldn't take that tone of voice with a Supreme Court justice if you want them to be sympathetic to your view. No. You're wrong. I don't know if Kavanaugh's going to lose his temper. I honestly don't. I don't know what's coming next. But I want to know, don't you?
The Family Life and Healthy Sexuality curriculum stands alone. It is mandated by the state. It is something where you are able to predict precisely when the curriculum is going to be deployed. There's
It's the most similar substantively to what we have here, and there's an opt-out allowed there. I guess I'm not understanding why Montgomery County School Board stands alone. I think in the country, you can tell me if there's another school board that's done something like this.
I apologize.
Both,
you better watch it.
The kind of books that are being used and prohibiting opt-outs. And I guess I'm just not understanding the whole goal, I think, of some of our religion precedents is to look for the win-win, to look for the situation where you can respect the religious beliefs and accommodate the religious beliefs while the state or city or whatever it may be can pursue its goals. And here, they're not asking you to change what's taught in the classroom. They're not asking you to change that at all. A lot of the rhetoric suggests that they might have, that they were trying to do that, but that's not what they're trying to do.
No, it is not. They are not telling the state. This is why this case was, I applaud the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. They're the ones financing the case of the parents. They're the ones who united the Jewish parents, the Christian parents, and the Muslim parents on this issue. And they were smart, very strategic, because you know as well as I do that if this is an evangelical Christian family raising this issue, it would not get the same kind of airing in the public discourse that it will with a Muslim family. That's why it's Mahmoud against Taylor. Taylor is a representative of the school district. Mahmoud is a parent, a Muslim parent in the district. And they didn't say, you can't teach these books, you can't teach these concepts, you can't have a prince. And it's not a king, it was a prince and something else, another man. You can't have them fall in love after they find and conquer a dragon. Can't do that. They're saying, you can continue to teach these. We just don't want our kids in there when you're doing it. And so they can't say the parents are trying to control the curriculum. The argument is, can the parents control the kids? Now, you will be shocked when you find out who is an advocate. Who is an advocate for the plaintiffs in this case? I know. You think I'm pulling your leg. I'm not. None other than Randy Weingarten, the head of the American Federation of Teachers, admits that these books are inappropriate for kids in kindergarten and elementary school.
Parents, of course, have rights in terms of educating their kids, and schools have to be communities. And the moment you have a case like this with such great distrust for what is being taught in a classroom or read in a classroom, I consider that a failure, and I think that this will be shocking to you. These would not be the books I would be reading as a classroom teacher to kids who are 4 to 6 years old.
Now, I suppose I should allow for the possibility that she would pick more graphic books than the ones that they're already picking. Maybe I gave her too much credit there when she said that these are not the books that she would pick. But obviously, this is a slam dunk case for the Supreme Court. You say, well, this should be 9-0. It won't be 9-0. It won't be. If you listen to Ketanji Brown, who doesn't know what a woman is, if you listen to her questioning yesterday, you know she's probably going to side with the school district. Maybe Sotomayor will as well. She's the dumbest person on the court.
Sunshine, it'll be a warm afternoon. Our high today 80, clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high again at 80. Partly cloudy for tomorrow evening with the low at 60. Clouds and showers, thunderstorm on Friday, high at 73. Shower and thunderstorm on Friday night, low 52. And then clouds and breezy showers for Saturday morning. Some breaks of sun by the afternoon, the high on Saturday at 65. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? With mixed messages, fad diets, the quick fix injections, even magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD.
It does matter.
You have actually very difficult.
Martha, sweetheart, listen to me.
Please don't call me sweetheart.
It actually does. I'm sorry. My bad. It actually does matter.
You have actually very difficult.
Martha, sweetheart, listen to me.
Please don't call me sweetheart.
It actually does. I'm sorry. My bad. It actually does.
9/6/2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks, or visit them at myphdweightloss.com. myphdweightloss.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, and the total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, Google Salem Surround Columbus. Remember to Google Salem Surround Columbus today.
I'm CPA Brad Henneberg with Premier Tax CPAs. And the true value of using a CPA is getting guidance throughout the year, not just at tax time. During the year, we can actively advise you on your financial and tax planning and other major business decisions, just like an outside CFO. Too often, when you see your accountant only at tax time, we're really only keeping score of what you did last year. We'll prepare a comprehensive tax plan to maximize your deductions and minimize the tax you pay, and present you with money-saving options you may not have ever considered. We'll update your financial position each quarter, so there are no nasty surprises at tax time. At Premier Tax CPAs, we like to have consultations with our clients throughout the year because important financial information is only useful if it's timely. At Premier Tax CPAs, we're a firm that can work with you and your business throughout the year to help you make decisions before it's too late. Give us a call at Premier Tax CPAs at 614-524-4888. That's 614-524-4888.
If you're looking to redo the flooring in your home, I'd love to help you in your business, or maybe if you have the decision-making authority for a local entity, government entity, got a fire station, police department, some other city council chamber, something like that. You'd like to replace the flooring? I'd love to have that opportunity. We do commercial, we do residential, we do hard surface flooring, and we do carpet. And let me tell you, we'll save you money. We'll offer you the same exact access to all the products that you think you have more selection of in big box stores, but you really, really don't. So those big box stores bid their jobs out. Think you'll ever see that installer again if they come to your house and then they are called upon to go back and fix something? No. See, that's why we employ our own installers, because they're accountable and they get paid by the job. So they do every job right the first time. And we get a ton of compliments on their work, as we should, because they're hardworking guys. So Go to brucehooley.com and click flooring, brucehooley.com and click flooring. I'd love to help you. I'd love to meet you. brucehooley.com, click flooring. All right, one last, well, I don't know, it'll be the last, but one more word on the case before the Supreme Court yesterday. Parents in Montgomery County, Maryland, decidedly blue district. They got frustrated when they were complying with protocol to offer parents an opt-out of books that portrayed, shall we say, LGBTQ relationships for kids who are in elementary school or kindergarten. The powers that be in the education system there thought it'd be a great idea to ingrain those lessons in young minds. Parents across the spectrum of different religious beliefs, Jews, Christians, Muslims, three groups that haven't always gotten along so well, united in opposition to this and said, wait, you can have all those crazy, woke, deviant books you want and teach them. We just want our kids to be able to opt out. And the Supreme Court, based upon the questions of the justices yesterday, seemed to be sympathetic to that view. We'll get a ruling in July, and hopefully that'll overrule this school district. Linda McMahon, Education Department Secretary, as long as it exists, which hopefully is not for much longer, weighed in on the topic this morning on Fox News.
Well, I'm not sure what the Supreme Court will do. I think it's a little hard to always guess, but they seem certainly to, at least in their comments, be on the side of parents, as I clearly am, and I think the Department of Education is, for parental rights. I think I heard the White House press secretary yesterday say, boy, there was a complaint that if parents had the opportunity to opt their kids out of some of this curriculum, then what would happen to the curriculum? Well, maybe we ought to be taking a look at the curriculum and not just putting the blame on parents. I think that parents should have that right to take their children out of class. I think the right to have moral decisions relative to children does belong to parents.
It absolutely should. If we ever lose that right in our country, I'd say we'll cease to be the country we are. We've already ceased to be that in so many different ways, but this has been a long time agenda item for Democrats. This is why, go back how long ago did Hillary Clinton contend that it takes a village to raise children? Well, I mean, it's nice to have help. Always great to have people you go to church with babysit your kids. It's wonderful to have people step into the breach if mom or dad suffers a catastrophic health situation or whatever, but the responsibility of raising children is a parent's responsibility. We have seen a demise in our country because of what? The disintegration of the family. It used to be the black family. Now it's all families. We have a scary number of children who are born without fathers present in the homes. The discipline is something that typically, generally, is handled by the man, and the nurturing is handled by the woman. If you remove half of what a child needs, they need to be loved, they need to be disciplined. If you remove half of that from the equation, well, you're going to get exactly what we've got. A lot of aimless teenagers, the kind who, wander into a tent at a track meet and perceive being asked to leave as disrespect sufficient to motivate them to pull a knife out of their backpack and stab another student in the heart. That kind of stuff. We'll get that, which of course we have. Now, here's an update on a couple things in Columbus, which they indicate the further degradation of our culture. Remember when I told you that the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department was going to no longer allow nude models in some of their art classes? Well, I'll just say people in favor of nude models have complained loudly enough that they are now getting their way. Jordan Laird of the Dispatch reports that Parks and Rec will again use nude models in some art classes after a flood of local art lovers, wink, wink, I bet they're local art lovers, criticized the department for its earlier decision to nix the practice. They will resume using nude models in figure drawing and painting classes. So all you who are so desperate to see someone with no clothes on, I guess you can go out and buy a paint set and sign up for classes. I will not be signing up. Now, this has happened to me. It's happened to a friend of mine. Maybe it's happened to you. Have you gotten a text message about how you owe unpaid tolls on the Ohio Turnpike? Jeff is nodding his head. So this must be a widely used scam tactic, which again is an indication of the further degradation of our culture. To perpetrate this criminal activity upon the public, the general public, you would have to have a certain degree of acumen with technology, would you not? You would have to be able to track down or randomly generate cell phone numbers and figure out how to send them out en masse electronically. Well, they're a scam. Don't respond to them. Don't click on the link. Don't do any of that. Now, we'll get to in a moment that you may receive a text about unpaid tolls, but the Ohio Department of Transportation will never ask you to pay a toll via a link that you click on, which takes you to a pay site. That is a scam. They are trying to get you to put in your credit card number. In fact, I would say it is a general safeguard that anytime you receive a text message saying, click here, and then they ask you to put in a credit card number or something like that, don't do it. Don't do it. You say, well, I see the little lock down in the lower right. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trust the little lock. If they can get a text to your phone, don't you think they can phony up the little lock in the lower right-hand corner? I think they can. Look, I'm not perfect in this. I've done things before, and my wife is like, don't do that. That's a scam. But if you are subjected to a text message that says you have delinquent unpaid tolls that will result in penalties or legal actions, they're trying to scare you. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to terrify you. And the older you are, probably the more susceptible you are to this, because the older you are, you're a rule follower, right? Some kid who's going to steal a Hyundai or a Kia is going to get this text message and he's going to totally ignore it. Why? Because his general lack of respect for authority has already been demonstrated in his actions, stealing the Kia or the Hyundai. The text message is not going to scare him. But if you are 60 years old on the cusp of retirement, or if you've downsized and moved into a nice retirement area, and you see, you're the kind of person who pays off your credit card every month, doesn't carry a balance over, pays your water bill on time, considers it to be a reflection upon your character if you have an outstanding bill of any sort, this is who these things are aimed at. Which is very sad, because those are the people who make our society livable, who built our country with their hard work, with their toil, and now are living, or attempting to live, an orderly life where they're obeying the laws, and then they're targeted by these ne'er-do-wells. And I'm being kind. By the way, you'll take no solace in the fact that Ohio is the worst state for spam and scam texts, because we log the most complaints with the Federal Trade Commission and the Federal Communications Commission. Bully for us.
They work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you have them do unto you. I do. Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company I've used for almost a decade now when financing or refinancing Fellowship Home Loans. I'm friends with the owners, Mike and Brian. I even have them on my show occasionally. I know the care their team puts into every single customer. I can personally tell you that it's a smooth, stress-free process. And that's due to Fellowship's level of service and expertise that puts you in the right loan for your family and your goals. There's a reason Fellowship Home Loans is flooded with 5-star reviews. Whether purchasing a home or a cash-out refi to consolidate some higher interest debt, you can trust Fellowship Home Loans. Start the process. Make the call. 800-510-MIKE. 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Find us at 989theanswer.com. Download our apps. Stream us 24/7. WTOH and WTOH HD1, Upper Arlington, Columbus.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm
Where's the
Jason
Minneapolis
Walker.
police
Illinois
officer?
Democrat Senator Dick Durbin will not seek re-election in 2026. That move puts more pressure on his party, already facing a difficult path to reclaiming a Senate majority. Stocks skyrocketing today as President Trump announcing a 90-day pause on tariffs for most countries. Major indexes at one point were up 8 to 12%. Planned meeting between U.S., British, French, and Ukrainian diplomats to push forward a peace deal between Moscow and Kyiv has been scrapped. At the same time, Vice President J.D. Vance says negotiations, though, are reaching a moment of truth.
We've put together a very fair proposal. We're going to see if the Europeans, the Russians, and the Ukrainians are ultimately able to get this thing over the finish line. I feel pretty optimistic about it. I think everybody has been negotiating in good faith. But it's now time, I think, to take, if not the final step, one of the final steps.
Also at townhall.com, Secretary of State Marco Rubio making some big changes at the State Department.
In a statement Tuesday, Rubio said the sprawling bureaucracy created a system more beholden to radical political ideology than advancing America's core national interest. Rubio then said redundant offices will be removed and non-statutory programs that are misaligned with America's core national interests will cease to exist. He then added, we will drain the bloated bureaucratic swamp. Rubio said the reorganization will bring the department into the 21st century. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Fast-moving wildfire burning in New Jersey's Pine Barrens, but officials lifting earlier evacuation orders and a stretch of a major highway that was closed, but it's back open now. More than 1,300 structures were threatened. Some 3,000 residents evacuated. There have been no reports, thankfully, of any fatalities. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Sunshine, it'll be a warm afternoon. Our high today, 80. Clear to partly cloudy tomorrow, 55. Partly sunny for tomorrow, high again at 80. Partly cloudy for tomorrow evening with a low at 60. Clouds and showers, thunderstorm on Friday, high at 73. Shower and thunderstorm on Friday night for 52. And then clouds and breezy showers for Saturday morning. Some breaks of sun for the afternoon, the high on Saturday at 65. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Bad decisions will make future options. Make enough bad decisions, and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flock with your host Rick Hughes every Sunday morning at 8 here on 98.9 FM, The Answer. The Flock describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flock with Rick Hughes, Sunday mornings at 8, right here on 98.9 FM, The Answer. With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. NBA player.
All right, that'll do it for hour number 1. And we got to bail because we do hour number 2 on the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page and the 98.9 The Answer Facebook page. Hope you have a great day. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Hope so. Take care. Have a good one.
An incident that took place